Hi guys, Ian here, aka Hura Mantra. Welcome to my channel and to another video, and I've just woken up. So yeah, I'm probably looking a bit dazed and confused, but I want to talk to you today for a short time about thought and thought form. And I woke up thinking about this after having spent a few days reading some really interesting information, which has really increased my understanding about thought forms and what they are. So I just wanted to share something of that with you. Now, depending on our view of what we are, the concept of thought forms may be easier or more difficult to understand. If we think that we are physical beings primarily, and that this is the most important part of us, then this might be, the concept of thought forms might be difficult to, not to understand, but to agree with, I guess. But if we think that we are fundamentally spiritual beings who have a physical body, then it might be easier to accept that this is actually true and accurate. So let's set our frame of reference that we are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings firstly and foremostly having a human experience. So also because our current experience of life is physical, we are very much oriented to that which we can see and touch and smell, and we tend to think, don't we, of things that we cannot see and appreciate with our physical senses don't exist, particularly when it comes to supersensible aspects of our own functioning. Yeah, we can't see the wind, we can only see its effects. We can't see electricity, only its effects. So let's start then by thinking about the possibilities that there is an energy about us which we cannot see or touch or smell or sense physically, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Now, for the student of the occult, for the student of the mysteries, you will be well versed with the concept of levels of beingness, of dense physical matter, of finer physical matter, of the astral realm, of the mental realm. So for those of you who know that, this next bit's not really going to be, anything new. But for people who are new to this, we believe that that life exists in different layers of density. That this is the most dense we get in terms of physical life. But then that there are versions of ourselves, or there are aspects of ourselves that are made of finer, higher energies. And that the spirit of humanity, the divine spark, is the highest of these. So then, if this is true, and science is moving towards the discovery of the ways that energy works and manifests itself, and of finer and higher energies. If this be true, then there is an aspect of ourselves that we may not be totally familiar with, and its characteristics and its abilities. Now, one of the things that we want to talk about now is what thought is. Thought is something, isn't it, that rises up within us. We often think in pictures. We most frequently think in pictures. We have images, We have streams of consciousness that, run through us continually. And sometimes we will focus in on specific aspects. We'll think about a person, an event, a thing. We think about that, it'll generate an emotional response, an experiential response. For example, if we are thinking about a memory, whether it be good or bad, we will experience that emotion that was associated with it at the time. If we are thinking about something to come, then we will anticipate. We'll anticipate something good that we're looking forward to. We will anticipate something that we're not looking forward to, and we'll feel perhaps nervous and unsettled about it. But our own thoughts create within us, within our physical bodies, within our sense experiencing selves, a response. Now, it doesn't just stay there. The first person that our thoughts affect is ourself, and we can notice that, we can experience that. Now, sometimes our thoughts will go through our minds so fast and fleetingly that we won't recognize the thought. All we will notice is the emotional shift that has occurred because of it. And this is the basis of cognitive therapy, that once we train ourselves to recognize and identify our thoughts, which we do by focusing in on our emotional shifts, and once we do that, once we recognize the impact our thoughts have on us, we can take steps to analyze those thoughts and to decide, are they factual or are they not? Are we living in a sea of our own thoughts which are causing all sorts of emotional and behavioral problems for us when those thoughts are not actually true? Are we living in an illusion of our own making? Are we responding to it emotionally? Are we responding to it behaviorally as if it was the truth? So we see, don't we, that our thoughts have very positive impact. Firstly, on ourselves. But when we think, we are like radio transmitters. Our thoughts arise within us. They create very clear images and pictures sometimes. They generate very strong emotion. And we are like radio transmitters beaming out our thoughts in all directions. Now, people who have clairvoyant abilities, seers, will tell us that they see these thought forms. They see them as energy leaving the human form and rippling outwards. Now, it's not strange then, is it, if this be true, why most of the spiritual systems, the world religions, will say we must be as careful with our thoughts as we are with our actions. That it is as bad sometimes to think a thing and allow ourselves to dwell on it as it is to do it. Well, why is that then? Why is that a teaching in world religions and in spiritual systems? Because surely if it's only in my head, then what harm is there? If in my head I have dreamt of, I don't know, making someone pay and maybe hurting them for something that they've done, but I haven't actually punished them, then what harm is in that? But if we believe that our thoughts are energies which leave us, which ripple out from us, which emanate from us, then what happens to them once they've left us? Well, there are theories about that as well. Now, okay, let's go into this, and I'll just give you the theory, right? And then we'll talk about it a little bit more, and then you can decide whether you're going to believe it or not. The theory says that the thought leaves the human aura. Now, depending on the clarity of the thought, depending on the amount of emotion that has powered it, and depending on how often that thought is replayed and generated within us, depending on those things, the impact of the thought will be greater or lesser. So if it's a fleeting thought, a weak thought, not a lot of energy, emotional energy behind it, not a particularly clear and specific thought, then it leaves us and it just ripples out, and it often disperses not very far from us. If it's a powerful thought, if it's a very distinct, clear thought, then its ability to project is much stronger. It's stronger, it goes further. And the theory is that the thought goes into the astral light, where it attracts to itself similar energies, where it's like a sound vibration, if you like. If you imagine a constantly vibrating soundscape, where another thought sound is projected into it, it joins the general resonance of what's going on, and it can support and amplify that which is already going on, or it can work against it, if you like, and modify and dampen down everything else that's going on. Which is why the thoughts of good, kind people have a very great benefit to humanity. Which is why sometimes, you know, when we're in the company of someone who seems to have a very calm, tranquil, peaceful, you know, we know there is something about them, something, I don't know, sometimes we think of it as soulful or spiritual, but they radiate a certain quality of existence. And just being in their company has the same effect on us. Now, that is because their thought forms are radiating outward towards us. We are near to them. We are receiving and influenced by the power of their thought forms, and that peaceful, calm, still resonance that is within them links with any sense of stillness and calmness and peacefulness that is within our own aura, and it influences it to adopt the same state. However, if that still calm person is in the environment of someone who is highly agitated, within whom there is no stillness, within whom there is no calmness, within whom there is no tranquility, then chances are their energies will not affect that person, because there is nothing within that person that can be sympathetic to the thought forms that are being broadcast. Does that make sense? But most importantly, why we must guard our thoughts is because, particularly where they are about a specific person, is because they can do them damage. If we are having aggressive, destructive, unpleasant thoughts towards a person, those thoughts radiate out toward that person. They find that person and they impact on that person's aura. So if we are feeling angry and hateful towards someone, those thoughts, and we see them in our minds, and we hold that grudge in our hearts, and we think about it often maybe, then we are beaming toward that person energies which will cause similar energies in their own aura to vibrate. And we will do them damage just by thinking about it. Now, we think maybe that we won't, that it's harmless, but this is why we are taught we must guard our thoughts. Our thoughts are just like our actions, but in a finer, higher realm. And just as our actions have energy, so our thoughts have energy. Well, the good thing about this is if we know this and we can control our thoughts, we can actually create within ourselves a better way of life, a calmness of spirit, a enlightenment of soul. So yeah, that's some of the general principles of thought and thought forms. Now that isn't all there is to thought or thought forms, and the specific use of thought forms in mystical practices is something else which we can perhaps cover on another day. But yeah, understanding the mechanism of our thought is important. Understanding the power that it has is important. And the more we understand ourselves, the better we'll be. Anyway, I'll stop now because I am aware that I'm rambling and my cup of tea is going cold. See you guys soon. Thanks for listening and bye for now.